How's it going, San Diego Prep Insider fans? Braden Surprenant here with Renee Chung and Madison Chang of the Bishops Knights, who just got off a huge 66-46 win over Bonita Vista. Bonita Vista is a really good team. Madison, we'll start with you since you are the senior. It's a tough opponent, top 10 team coming in here. You guys beat them by 20 points. It was tough early, but how are you guys able to pull it away late?
I think it's our adjustment. We have really good coaching staff, and they're always telling us how to adjust mid-game, whether we're doing things right, whether we're doing things wrong, and our communication on the court is really effective, I think.
So Renee, we'll talk to you a little bit about Madison here. You know, you are a freshman. How is it coming in playing for a team like Bishops? You know, it's your first year here, and you know, how much easier is it to play when you know you got hurt down in the paint and also hitting some shots outside?
Coming in at Bishops, I was very nervous, but many of the players here are very welcoming and supportive. And with Madison back on the team, it's so much more easier for me because I know that she's a really strong ball handler, and she can also shoot that three from far deep. So it's really nice to have her on the court defensively and offensively.
Madison, it was your first game back after a while. You know, talk to us about your first game, getting back into it, and how do you think, you know, overall you think you played?
I think I did pretty well. There's always room for improvement. You know, it's only my first game back. I think my teammates made it really easy on me. They're really forgiving. They're always helping me out, telling me where to go in case I'm in the wrong spot. It felt actually really easy to get back. Like, just it's really comforting. I'm really used to it. Yeah.
You guys have a pretty good coaching staff. You got a new assistant coach. His name's Haseen Williams. What can you say about Coach Williams? We'll start with you, Renee, and we'll you know, finish with you, Madison.
Coach Haseen has helped me so much this year. He's given me new information that I don't normally receive all the time. So whenever I'm like lost or confused on a play on defense or offense, he's always there to kind of help me and guide me through what I should be doing and how I can help my teammates as well.
I think he's really level, so every time he talks to us, it's always constructive criticism. He's not yelling, and he's not telling us we're good when we're not. You know, he really tells it like it is, and he helps us get better.
We always love talking about how great Haseen is here on the Girls Basketball Podcast. Madison, Renee, thank you very much, and good luck the rest of the way. We're back at it here, back in filling in for my own show, as Christian filled in last week. I was unable to do it. We had a little bit hectic football season for myself, but Haseen Williams here. I'm Braden Surprenant. Marlon Wells, head coach of the Bishops, is joining us today for the podcast. But I'm going to do something very, you know, what I didn't learn in broadcast school. I'm going to actually hand the mic off. And Haseen's going to interview Marlon, and we'll get into the podcast very shortly.
So, big win tonight, top 10 team. But I want to ask you, what is the preparation challenges when you go up against a former assistant, former protege? What kind of challenges does that present?
Well, you know, he's going to come out and bring it, and he knows everything that we do. So, and it's a similar style. So we have to prepare. We're basically practicing against each other all week. And it was tough to prepare because everyone on his team could play. So it's like no specific person you have to really watch out for. You have to play team basketball. Oh, man, dang, we in the action. Oh, I knew it would be a hater from Bonita Vista, though. But it was great action. And Tristan, hats off to Bonita Vista. They fought through adversity the whole game. They had a couple kids out. But our kids played well also.
So this is first game since almost 2 weeks ago today. Talk about the benefit of having that much time to get in the gym and prepare for this, you know, this tough opponent.
Right. Well, we finally got an opportunity to practice, which we haven't had all year. And we got the kids prepared. We got to put our offense in and got them used to playing basketball. And we were just playing games after games, and they weren't practicing. So the 2 weeks off helped us tremendously. We got some kids back from injury tonight playing in their first game, so that 2 weeks definitely helped us after playing Mission Hills.
So we have been leaning heavily on the freshmen, Angie, Renee, Natalia. But talk about the shot in the arm we got from Madison tonight off the bench, made some big threes, kind of settled the team down a little bit. Talk about what her presence was tonight.
Yeah, well, Madison was our returning leading scorer, one of the top scorers in the county, and probably the best three-point shooter in the county, and we needed that tonight. Coming off the bench, we wanted to see how she could go against a team like Bonita Vista, and she showed pretty well. Still got to get in a little bit of shape, but Jada Davis came through huge tonight. It was kind of her breakout game for the season. She was in a little funk, and she broke out tonight.
Also, like you mentioned, Jada, got a couple of big baskets late from Bree, your other senior, Breonna Delator. Talk about her influence on the game and her impact, especially late in the game.
Oh yeah, Bree's tough. She got a lot of key rebounds tonight and some key drives to the basket to finish the game off. Bree is our rock. Bree is our rock. I mean, our toughest kid, our best competitor, and she came up huge tonight.
Last question, big tournament coming up at the SoCal Holiday Prep. What's going to be the key for the Knights to have success?
Well, we can't get into foul trouble because our bench is short, and we have to knock down the three ball. We got to do a better job of knocking down the three ball and taking care of the basketball. Defensively, we're getting better. I'm pleased with that. And we take care of the ball and knock down those shots, we'll be fine.
Let's get into the rankings. And Haseen, I actually voted for this on Monday, but we ended up having pretty much the same stuff. There's a couple things where we differed, but you're the expert, so you got the tiebreaker win and that sort of thing. So let's go from the bottom up. We had two teams that were different for our number 10. I had Otay Ranch, you had La Costa Canyon. Real quick about the 10 spot, what can you say about either of these two squads?
Well, La Costa, the record will throw you off because we talked about it today. This was their 10th game, and they've played 6 teams in the top 10. So they're not really faring, as far as the win-loss outcome, they're not faring well in those games. But you got to reward a team that's playing a schedule that's that tough. Let's
go through the bottom half of the top 10, and we'll have Coach Wells give a shout-out to some of these teams that he's gone against or he's seen. So La Costa Canyon comes at number 10. Bishops, your Knights are at number 9. Modern Day is 8. San Marcos 7, and Bonita Vista 6. You just played the number 6 team in the county. But there's a lot of other squads in here that are hanging around like San Marcos and Modern Day. What's one squad that's in that 5 group that sticks out to you the most?
It'll be Modern Day because they have the best player in the county, Chloe Webb, and they're scary. So when Chloe goes off, they'll be tough to beat no matter who they're playing. So I would say Modern Day out of that bottom 5, they're the scariest. And they beat us earlier this year, so we got to see them come out.
Let's the county. We got a lot of big players that we've seen over the last 2 years or so. Christian comes in at number 5. Okay, they had all those transfers. They're now all eligible to play, and they seem to be doing some great things. Mount Miguel, a team that kind of flew under the radar. Not really for us, we knew, but we didn't talk about them that much. They come in at number 4. La Jolla Country Day, always a dominant force. They're playing in the Nike TOC tournament right now. Out of state, and then Mission Hills is number 2, and Cathedral Catholic number 1. Cathedral's off to a pretty hot start. They got a really loaded team as well. But out of these top 5, any team that sticks out to you the most?
Well, for me, it's probably Mission Hills because I still got nightmares from what they did to us a couple weeks ago. They lost a lot, like we had talked about going into the season, but they bring back, Kat Neff, one of the best players in the county. A loaded freshman class. They're super talented with some young players. So them, and then Cathedral's been dominant. Like they're 3-0 against the top 10 and averaging over 25 points margin of victory in those games. So it doesn't get more dominant than that. So as much as the top 5 is loaded, based off of what their average margin of victory is, I'd have to say that Cathedral's head and shoulders above everybody else right now.
We're going to get into we got some big tournaments coming up this week, right? We got the SoCal Holiday Classic. Bonita Vista's doing a tournament as well. And there's a lot of teams from out of the county that are going to come down here and play San Diego competition. So we'll give you a highlight of some of the games that stick out, and you guys can give your 2 cents about any scouting reports you might have on these out-of-section teams. As far as La Jolla Country Day is concerned, they played out of county this week. They played the number 8 team from Wyoming, and they beat them in Thunder Basin. And then they played the number 66 team from Texas, which is Village. And, they also beat them as well. 66 team in Texas is like being the 66 team in California. It's a big state. They're going to have a lot of good teams. As far as next week is concerned, in county, we got Olympian at Del Norte is the top game. Poway going up to play El Toro. We watched Poway earlier this year. El Toro is one of those bigger teams up in Orange County. How do you think this one shakes up?
Well, as far as big goes, Poway's probably the biggest team that we have. They got a lot of size. Kobe Neal's a really good player. They struggled a little bit after they cracked our top 10, but it's because their schedule got a little bit tougher. They played some tough teams, some good teams tough. So I think they're going to bounce back. They're probably locked in as an open team just based off of how things play out. So, every win for them is important because they have a good position to get to the open.
Let's talk about some of these other games. A sneaky game for me, Torrey Pines at El Cap. Coach Wells, you got anything to say about either Torrey Pines or El Capitan?
You know like you said, that's a real sneaky game. I think El Cap will come on top, but it's gonna be a close game. Mackenzie Curtis is a baller, and but Dave McClurg, he does a good job with his team. So that's gonna be an interesting game. I wouldn't be surprised if Torrey Pines won it though.
It's going to be a great matchup, one of our top. That's going to be on December 26th next week. And we got this one, Modern Day, a team that you talked about. They're going to play Los Al up in Orange County. That's a big-time program. They're a 69th in the state of California, a really good basketball team. How do you think Modern Day is going to fare? Because this is a Modern Day team that's been pretty up and down over the last 2 years, depending on what type of team you're going to see.
Well, like Coach Wells said, if Chloe's going to do what she does. So, like I saw a lot of highlights of when they played. They lost to Mount Miguel, but they played them really tough. And in that game, what's the guard?
Marissa Sanchez.
Yeah, Marissa Sanchez was the key. She stepped up and hit a lot of big threes. So if they can get that secondary score in Marissa Sanchez or Tiana Alleman, their sophomore, then they can have a chance against anybody.
We got Cathedral Catholic San Marcos Part 2 already this year coming up next week. That one's going to be a fun game. We know Coach DiCarlo very well. He's a big fan of our show. What is as a coach, as a head coach, what does Coach DiCarlo have to do in order to try to knock off this tough Cathedral team?
Yeah, well, as a coach, he's going to have to really slow them down. I mean, the guard, Izzy Navarro, she's one of the best that I've seen. And, I mean, I know people look at their big post players and Mozzie Harris, but Izzy makes that team go. And if he could find a way to stop her, I think he'll be in the game. I talked to him the other day. He has a couple injuries that he's concerned about. But, Coach DiCarlo's a good coach, so he's going to definitely have a good game plan for him.
They've played some pretty tough competition so far this year. Probably one of the toughest schedules in San Diego County. Another sneaky game, El Camino at OLP. It's a 9-3 El Camino team traveling to play OLP, who's 8-3. And then one for me that sticks out, Grossmont 7-0. They're on the cusp of making the top 10. They're playing a legacy team that's number 37 in the state of California. Is this the tester for them to see if Grossmont's for real or not?
Well, actually, I want to see how they did tonight. They played Morris tonight, they're a really good team, a really good Division II team. So I honestly am really interested to see how that game plays out. Grossmont is talented. They had a good team last year. They had a couple kids that had to sit out for transfers, and then they had another kid that had an ACL tear, Athena Sotelo. So I already think they are for real, especially when it gets down and dirty for Division II.
And you don't necessarily have to beat Legacy to prove that you're for real. It can be multiple things. And we've talked about rankings for so many times and explaining why teams that are 4-4 are better than teams that are 7-0 sometimes. So I don't want to go through that whole can of worms again. But then the last game that I saw that was very intriguing, it's brought up one of our best teams, Mount Miguel, taking on one of the other section best teams in Rolling Hills Prep. 8-1 going, it's 11-1. That's next Friday night. What do we got to do, San Diego-wise, to knock off Rolling Hills Prep?
So, I mean, I feel like I've been sleeping on Mount Miguel for the last 2 years. Like, we underrate them, and Coach Robbie Sandoval does such a great job. Selena Peterson can score with anybody, and she's playing really, really well right now. So the way he has his system set up where the role players play their role, Peterson does what she does, and, they run their stuff well, like, I'm not doubting them anymore. So I think they can make it a shot. They can definitely make it a close game, and who knows.
Last thing before we go, out of the games what is the most exciting game that all of San Diego needs to go watch next week that you can think of in the tournament? We'll start with you, Haseen.
Honestly, you can't go wrong with the top bracket in the SoCal Holiday Prep. If you want to see good basketball, check out that tournament. Look at how the top bracket is seed. There's no bad teams in that bracket, so you really can't go wrong. I know it's a cop-out answer, but seriously, there's so much talent in that top bracket, you can't go wrong.
You essentially just put more pressure on Coach Wells here because he's got to come on. All right, he's confident. He knows. What do we got? What do we got here?
I want to see Modern Day Santa Ana versus Cathedral, and that'll show everybody where Cathedral is. And Modern Day is one of the premier teams in the country year in and year out. But I would like to see that game. And, obviously we're rooting for San Diego teams to pull it out. But I would like to see that game, Cathedral versus Modern Day.